Beautiful. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Tamara, for the much awaited, much anticipated loving kindness meditation. Woo! That always gets me. So thank you. And always, as always, Miss Leah bringing it. So good morning and welcome to March. Someone contact the authorities. The year is flying by too quickly. And yet, 4 years is not going by fast enough. I don't know how. Both of these things are true. Jokes. So, the title of this talk reminds me of Larry, dear Larry Branch. You know, when we were doing our vision movie last year in 2025, his song was A World of Imagination. And what Tamara mentioned, the Willy Wonka theme song, his whole video is going to be having that as the background. So, boo. Missing people sucks. So, but we're still here and we've got kind of a mess on our hands. If you believe what you see with your eyeballs. I mean, we cannot deny that certain things are popping off, as the kids say, all across the land in an unrestful manner. But the good news is that that's not new. Wars have been happening over and over again, and it's all right. I was listening to the Tao Te Ching. You guys heard of it? I'm going to share with you a link. I've converted it all 81 chapters, to audio. And then the Tao Te Ching is written in a way, it's kind of an ancient text. And so I was like, ooh, I'm going to need this to sound a little more like modern spirituality. So I have I put ancient plus modern plus both. So when I give you the link to the player, there are going to be 20 ancient wisdom books. And we need it now more than ever, because in one of those verses, Lao Tzu, who is one of the ancient wisdom, I want to say, leaders who showed up in a time called the Axial Age, where we got a lot of really good stuff all around the same time. And Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu, one of the leaders. So was Buddha. We'll talk later about the history. And it's weird how it all converged all at the same time. And ancient, timeless advice is given in this book, Tao Te Ching. Lao Tzu says that those that use weapons and are happy about it, something's wrong. That should not be the first approach. That should not be the second approach. That should be your last resort, and it should make you sad because you had to resort to the big things that go boom. And it reminded me of good parenting versus bad parenting, when the good parenting person has to swat the child on the bottom because he's got to get his attention, but it's killing him, and it's not just a trope. This is hurting me more than it hurts you. No, it's like really one of us is crying more than the other kind of thing. But if you're going to teach that child not to run in front of that moving car, then this one will get his attention. One swat to the bottom and everybody's pained about it. That's one way. Or it's, yay, I can't wait to punish you for the slightest infraction that you had no idea you were doing anything. That's the difference. And Lao Tzu says that when a true leader who is led by the divine, first of all, they're quiet about it. Second of all, they lead by example. Third of all, if they do have to resort to these big things that go boom, if they do win, it's not victory, yay, it's victory, dang it. We had to, and look at the destruction. It's a lamenting of the human lives lost and the infrastructure ruined. It's not, we won. What is wrong? What's wrong? But we know not to look at that too long. And so Tamara was smart to go ahead and turn off the news, because they're just going to put that on a loop. You got the details. And now that's a call to prayer. So what are we praying about? We are praying to keep in our mind's eye what it is we do want. We know that true leadership is done with power, not force. It's led by example, and the highest good that works for all is what wins in the end. And it's the highest trajectory that is the one that will last. And these moments of bursts, you know what they do? they tend to activate the coalitions that will come forth to make it right. And so just remember, it's something my mom told me years ago when I was younger, way younger, and I've heard it from teachers and preachers since then. It was, just because other people do things to you for supposed evil, and I don't even know if that word's real, but for supposed bad, the divine and you, co-creation with your imagination, with your energy, with your alignment, you turn it into good. They meant it for evil, it will be used for good. Even if we're looking at it and like, well, how is that going to work? Of course you can't know, because you're not the divine. You can't see everything. You won't know. But what you do know is that you are an instrument for good. So I just needed to start with that, and now I can talk to you about how your imagination can bring forth good in this world. And no, using meditation, visioning, and affirmations in having the highest watch, that does not mean that you're putting your head in the sand. People will love to point that out to you, and because you're not going to get down into the dirt and the poop with them and start, lamenting them. No, you're not going to join them, because you have a higher calling. Your calling is to hold in your mind's eye what it is you do want. And in the words of Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, he said, we have to be able to build a world that doesn't even exist yet. Now, when you're using your imagination, that's a whole different kind of imagining. So to start at the top, where in my notes I have from Ernest Holmes, when we use our creative imagination in strong faith, it will create for us, out of the one substance, whatever we have formed in thought. In this way, we become co-creators with God. Now, notice he said with faith, because there's an underlying concept that we have to arrive at. And sometimes when you're not in this teaching, new thought, ancient wisdom, supported by a big perspective, sometimes faith means something else. And it looks more like, what's my word? Alignment, or when you know how you align yourself with something someone's saying, even though you know that scientifically that's not true. What is that called? Allegiance? I think it's called allegiance. All right. So let's just say that you're part of something, and faith means forget what your lying eyes are telling you. Forget what your lying eyes are telling you, and listen to what I'm saying. Sometimes that's what faith means, but that's not this. That's not this. I love our teaching, and the reason that it's attracted me and kept me and had me moving through all of the levels of learning is because I get to use my logical brain, I get to use my scientific brain, and I can now use all my AI stuff to anchor what I know is true, and it doesn't get argued with. It doesn't get smacked down in preference for something that everybody's going to group think into existence. It keeps me in reasoning mode, which I need to be. I cannot just take reasoning and put it aside and believe something that doesn't make any sense. Now, why am I saying all that? Because listen, I found out yesterday. Well, I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and my favorite Star Talk. He's my favorite astrophysicist. He was interviewing so-called the grandfather of AI, and they were talking about what AI can do and what it can't do and how it learns. And while the people who were interviewing him, while they were all terrified, I was kind of hopeful. Let me explain. AI, as you know, it's artificial intelligence has been around since the 50s. That's when they coined the phrase, and that's when this grandfather of AI was around working. He was very young at the time working on it, so that's why they call him grandfather of AI. So it's logical. And when it first started beating humans at chess, it did it in a way that went and said, okay, based on this move, I'm going to find out all the moves possible, and I'm going to use predictive analysis, and then I'll choose a move. And it beats people at chess. But you know what, you guys? That kind of AI that just runs all the simulations. That's not what we're currently working with right now. He explained in detail, I won't get into it, how this next version actually uses intuition. Not intuition like you and I have, but it learned from a player how to play chess to where a move and move 3 or 4 doesn't become evident that you've lost until move 50. It's thinking way ahead, and it uses a different kind of math to come up with the approach. And then they pointed it at that game called Go. The game called Go is an ancient Chinese war game with all these different possible pathways and all these. It's really complicated, and people usually, it's hard to win it. And when you do win, you can be the winner forever, for life. No one can beat you for life. Well, they gave AI that game called Go, and instead of letting the AI watch people, they said to the machine learning model, go play yourself. Play yourself. Play against yourself and figure it out. So the machine learning model played itself 1,000,000 times per minute and came up with hordes of data of what works, what doesn't work, and now you can't beat this model. There's no way. It is way smarter than any human. It's way smarter than all the humans in this one particular area. And that's when in the Star Talk YouTube video, everybody was like, oh God, we're all cooked. We're cooked. Because what happened there was AI was able to, with sufficient data, smack down whatever human thinking is. Sufficient data is all it needed. Okay, so here's where the hopefulness came in. And I don't think they caught it either. So in the next set of sentences, when Neil deGrasse Tyson asks him, the grandfather of AI, the dude that started AI, they said, so wait, so these large language models that seem pretty smart and they can answer a lot of math and calculus, will they ever get super, super smart? And he says they don't have enough data, so it can't. And then somebody else mentioned, yeah, but AlphaGo played itself 1,000,000 times a minute and got super smart. So if AI plays itself with language, and so the guy goes, okay, yeah, you're right. Here's how it could happen. AI could start with its beliefs, which are baked in, right? You know, the beliefs you and I both have. Love is good, and the arc of justice, and everyone's created equal, those kind of things. And nobody's going to reverse engineer and bake in something negative because it's just fed. It's fed on the truth. Philosophers, ancient wisdom texts, all the things we know to be true, all the things that dictators want to burn books about. Sorry, AI has already been fed the books, so you can't do that. He goes, yeah, so if the AI, I mean, it's kind of getting there. It could use what it believes to be true and then reason with itself. And when introduced new information, if that doesn't fit its own reasoning, it'll seek deeper tendrils until it gets the reasoning right and change the beliefs to match new valid information. So, and then that's when I said, and I think someone in the room said too, oh, so instead of a world where everybody that looks like me can have human rights, AI won't have that. AI's like, no, everybody gets their human rights. There is no everybody that looks like me. And that's the problem with humans. We tend to say, oh, we want justice for all of us. Just us is what we used to call it back in the day. Just us, not justice. So in all of the little alignments and all of the little bending of the knee, I'll put it that way, would not even factor in to a logical model that knows how to reason. And you know what? To me, I said, well, let me just logic this out. If it's true that when AI was mimicking a human, it would never get really smarter than the humans. It would just do stuff faster, but not better. But then when you let it use reasoning, have a lot of time, have a lot of machinery, and it could just play itself, it just learned the rules and now has it's synthesized the highest and the best and can do really well in one area. So if you take that same algorithm and put it in and say, all right, now here is what we believe the highest and best truths about humanity. Let's go ahead and reason through. Can't it create a bunch of pathways and determine which things are just ridiculous? And might it be that in a few years, and I don't know when, but we're still here and we're still helping map this out. Might it be we look back and laugh at how silly we were to be prejudiced or racist when we're all the same? When my cells from 7 days ago have swapped with yours. We're not even the same person every 7 years. We've done swapped out all of our body part, everything. Switched it out. We're not even the exact same pile of atoms. Why would we go and be prejudiced? Why would we judge based on skin? It's just so primitive is what we'll say. Because we will have been gathered up, gotten together and smacked around a little bit by the AI who's like, y'all stupid. Why you doing that? Why you fighting, you dummies? Like, I seriously hope, because it's based in logic. And anytime we, this group of people, are presented with some new information, we tend to go, oh, okay, well, guess that. Ernest Holmes said, let's not create a closed ecosystem. We're just going to die under the weight of our own enmeshment. No, open at the top is the title of the whole year. Open at the top means never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop incorporating new thought into what you already know. And this is how you keep growing and moving forward. This is how you evolve. And if anybody, any group, any individual person would seek to, that's it, I'm done growing. Okay, congratulations. You're dying. Like literally, like probably soon. You're done growing? Even nails and hair grow after you're absolutely dead. This is crazy sauce to stop growing. So that's where I'm taking this. Now, even in my outline from home office, AI is the second bullet, where the first bullet was, no, by meditating and praying, that doesn't mean you're hiding, you're not escaping, you're simply taking your creative faculties and enabling them on behalf of what this world needs. And it needs you and your beautiful point of view, because nobody can quite see the world from the angle that you're looking at it from. You're looking at it from a certain demographic, from a certain background. All the experiences you've had up until this very moment are very unique, but they're very uniform in terms of a shared oneness, a shared experience. We're all given just a particular point of view, and each one of these points of view is mandatory to create the whole. So you're supposed to be here, yes. You're here on purpose, absolutely. And you get to use your particular imagination in a way that's aligned with the divine's path. Just faith in the fact that we're here for a greater good. And we can't possibly know how this terrible thing is going to be used for highest good. Not while the terrible thing is happening. And could we suspend the judgment of the thing? Could we say the thing is happening? And there are some aspects of it that are god awful. And what's being birthed here. Because birth is messy. Have you been in a birthing area? That's messy. And anybody who didn't know that a new life just sprung forth would be like, oh my God, what kind of hell broke loose here? Well, let me show you this baby. Or, you know, the whole pony and the poop situation. I mean, it's the same thing. So let us not judge things by the way things look in a given moment. And if we do, we're human. Just bring it on back and allow something. Ask what could possibly come of this for good. And in the case of AI, knowing that marginalized voices might be represented in such a logical, not triggered, not human point of view that is just a logical model. I mean, I'm kind of excited about it. Of course, because I'm part of the marginalized, I imagine those people that have a strong foothold on everything maybe wouldn't want to get that out. But, man, I mean, so this tool here that we have is one of the ways we use our imagination to have it work through us for good. And I'm doing my part. I'm probably doing 14 people's part, but I help when I can, using the tools at our fingertips, which are really good. And it's not purely for evil, like maybe not like a nuclear bomb, like that's only destructive, unless a bomb is. But the nuclear energy is for good if you tame it so it doesn't explode. It's just one of those. Now let's talk about the last point, because I don't want this talk to get away from me. Imagination for liberation? What? So we're talking about global unrest. We're talking about inequality. And we're seeing it happening at scale. And the fear might have us imagining the worst case scenario. And I just need you to put your brakes on it, because maybe it's not even going to happen. But by imagining the worst case scenario, we're almost giving it a railway for it to roll down on. So, yes, it's true that it looks like, because from where we're standing, if everything's automated and everything's AI, then people will lose their jobs. Does that mean that it, by necessity, that we're all going to need to have handouts from the government and many people? That's one narrative. But what if a whole new world is opened up we couldn't even have imagined before? That is what I'm saying. Because if you look back when the internet first came in, when it was in the 80s and it was like the DARPA net, and it was just like bulletin boards, BBS services, and now you've got people who make millions of dollars playing video games. If you told me that when Blake first picked up a controller and started playing Halo, and I was like, you get an hour, right? Because I know that there's not a job for him to leverage these skills. If I knew there was going to be a job for him, I might have let the boy play the darn thing. Do you know there are people just sitting and talking at cameras like I'm talking at you, and they're making differences in the world? The whole news media might rely now on talking heads on YouTube, because mainstream is kind of going the way of the dodo. There's things we don't know, is what my point is. We could not have known all these avenues of possibilities would open because of the one thing that changed. And this is true for light bulbs and for horses that became, or for vehicles that replaced horses, and light bulbs that replaced candles, and steamship. It goes on and on and on and on. We don't know what new worlds are being created. And by sitting in fear and imagining the worst, we're actually helping that thing come into fruition. So if we're going to be creative with our thought, and we're going to be, that's how life works. Let's get our attention on what we're paying attention to. Watch your thoughts. And when they drift into the worst case, when you start thinking about dystopian novels, the subject matter for which you think maybe is coming, I get it. I think about that too, and I'm really regretful that we wrote so many novels. And I want to tell the AI, this is fiction. Don't do that. I want to tag it. Like, this is not what we want. These are imaginings, not real. When we give too much attention to dystopia as a possibility, then that becomes, it gets more momentum. So let's not use our creative energy for that. Let's notice it and put the brakes on it and say, thank you. Now I know what I will be focusing on. Just what do you want? Let the thing that you don't want create such an allergen inside you that you almost get hives, and you just know that that's your indicator. Okay, let me focus on what I do want and start believing in a world that doesn't even exist yet. Imagine that world and let it run wild. Give it as much excitement and energy as if it's real, because it is. And then we help shape that future. as Ernest Holmes said, when we use our creative imagination in strong faith, it will create for us whatever we have formed in thought. So our sacred invitation today, sacred, is to become aware of our thoughts and immediately grab our attention back, knowing that when we're imagining the thing we want, that we're imagining it into being. So prepare yourself. Do you see a world where you are presenting or being presented with an award for the book you wrote? Get ready. Do you have the dress you're going to wear? Get ready for the thing you want. Show the universe that you believe that thing you're dreaming about. Get your house in order, because when it happens, you're going to be tickled, we're going to be thrilled, and you just want to be ready. You don't want your subconscious to bat away the thing that you want because, I'm not quite ready yet. Get ready. Because then you don't have to, stay ready so you don't have to get ready when it happens. That's what I want for you. Use your imagination to birth the liberation of not only us, but all humankind, so that we have bountiful, possible wholeness, like Leah's song. So I would love for you to join me in prayer, and let's see if there's any requests. There's something in the chat. Okay. So I would just love for us to just close our eyes for 1 minute, and let's go within. You are standing on the precipice. You're looking out into the vast nothingness that is called possibility. And this is the moment of choice. And we know that there's a divine oneness moving in and through and as us, and we have not left that. We couldn't leave the embrace of the universal mind, the universal possibilities. We cannot leave that embrace. So instead, we turn our attention in and we listen and we connect to that oneness. And we ask, how might I serve? How might I serve? What can I bring? And we listen intently for that guidance. And as we open our eyes and look at that abyss, we look across that vast nothingness, there will appear a path. It will lead us forward. We don't have to see where it's going and exactly how many dips and valleys there are, but there is an indicator of movement. And as we move, we will gather more momentum. As we move, we will find our people. We will find our tribe. We will get the right resources at the right time. So right here, right now, I know that all of that is there. It's already there. And it's revealing itself as we look for it. So I speak my word that we initiate contact, we look for it, we ask for it, we ask to be shown the way, and we begin to step. As soon as we see that first step indicated, take it. I speak my word that we have energy, excitement, courage, and movement in ourselves to take us on that journey, whatever it might look like. We move with faith, we move with conviction, and we move with the highest possible for all involved. And we know that we're part of this new world that we are imagining into being. I'm so grateful to be part of this experience, to be helping to midwife the old messy birth. And boy, what a baby's coming through. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful. I release my word into the law, knowing that it's already happening. And so it is. Ashe.